Hello, this is Jefferson Aldridge, givingisgood.org. This afternoon we have Rod Brown with us. He is from Cover 6 Outdoors. I've known Rod for, as he just pointed out to me, because I couldn't remember how long, about 16 or 17 years now. So I've known him for a good while. And he and I have had kind of a fun relationship over the years. And then several years ago, he decided he was going to start his 501c3. He is a veteran, and Army, if I remember correct. Army Scout.
19 Delta Cavalry Scout.
He loves to try to make me remember stuff, apparently, and I'm not so good at it. So, but he started his 501c3 to help veterans, wounded veterans, their families, and we brought him in to let him kind of tell us a little bit about where they're at, what they're doing, what their needs are, what he could do if you, the viewers, could help out and provide support, and where he would like to take it. He works full time. You know, your 501 Cover 6 Outdoors is your passion project. It's your heart. It's what you've been working for years on. Kind of tell us a little bit about how'd you get started? What's the inspiration? What brings you to where you are today? Man, give them the story.
So, okay. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, Jeff.
Heck yeah, dude.
To tell our story. So I'll kind of start. My father was a Korean disabled combat veteran. And yes, United States Air Force. Okay. And when I came back from Iraq, I didn't think about, going to the VA. I always viewed, disabled combat veterans, amputees, things as such. And so my dad begged and pleaded with me, finally, and I finally went. And they diagnosed me with PTSD, some other, physical injuries. And after that, I got invited to go on just a simple dove hunt out in West Texas. Now, I grew up with other veterans. There's a group of veterans, and that group is no longer around. But what that hunt did for me completely turned my life around 180 degrees and made me realize, all the little things that I was struggling with. Is that whole family, that brotherhood, that you can't find anywhere else. And that group asked me to come on board and help out, and I agreed to. And unfortunately, that group headed the wrong way. And so in January of 2016, I started researching and filing all my paperwork to start my own organization. And in May, I take that back, April 2016, we received our filing from the IRS, and we started out with just simple hog hunts and getting veterans out, groups of veterans out on weekend hunts, and just getting them away from everything and getting them back around each other. I believe, a firm believer that camaraderie that we have, getting away, putting phones away, getting away from the city, getting away from your car, and just getting out in the outdoors and just being back around each other can be more healing than sitting in an office in the VA.
Yep. And putting some of those worries behind you, and you have a bunch of people around you that understand what you're going through.
Absolutely.
And I hear, we all hear, as I'm not a veteran, but as I talk to people and we go through these conversations, you find out when veterans come back and they come back from war zones, I don't understand. Right. I've never been there. I haven't gone through that. I don't identify with that. I know I like to help.
Yep.
Because freedom ain't free.
Right.
And as you get older and you go through life, you start to really realize what that means. And coming from a family with veterans in it, I understand when I hear the stories of my family and my father and my grandfather talk, it makes sense to me about how helping veterans is a real thing and the importance of putting forth time, effort, money to come up with ways to help out when other people don't is a big thing, you know? And a lot of people don't realize, now I hunt, I fish. So for me, I live in a stressful world. We have businesses, it's nonstop, you know, struggle, pay the bills, build the business, stress never stops.
Yeah.
But when I go hunting, dude, I take that phone and I go, I put that sucker on silent and I turn it over and go, for the next 3 hours, I don't care. I've got to have some life.
And everything just goes away.
That's right, you know.
And that's what it's all about.
Tell everyone a little bit about how you got started after you went through that dove hunt, you filed your paperwork and you realized that, hey, this is something I need to be doing for yourself, right? You needed healing,
Yes.
plus you needed help other veterans heal.
Absolutely. So, you know, in looking at that, you know, my first thought, well, you know, number one, like you say, it's a continuation of my healing. But number two, it's a way for us to continue to give back to our brothers and sisters. And, you know, again, we started with just simple hog hunts, you know, and then building our Facebook page and building our social media and getting our name out there. And as you know, as time went along, we started building that family. We call it a family. We don't call it followers, because if you follow us, you're part of that family. The CV6 family is what we call it. And if you go on our Facebook page, that's how we start nearly every post, is our CV6 family.
Gotcha.
And so, but yes, it's all about reaching out to those brothers and sisters, because that's another thing that we'll talk about too, is I very much want to try and get more of our sisters involved in this. A lot of people don't realize, you know, how many of our sisters out there that actually, you know, may be running a convoy, you know, have been in a convoy that got ambushed and they had to jump down and use those basic skills that they learned in basic, 8 weeks of basic, to lay down covering fire, you know, until they get reinforcements that come in. So they need this just as much. And, you know, unfortunately, there's a bit of a stigma that has become, you know, through different branches, you know, a lot of female soldiers are afraid of male soldiers, unfortunately. And I'm working with a couple of different groups right now to kind of break that stigma and get them back involved. One is Pink Berets and the other one's Liberty Dolls. And
I'd love to meet them.
yeah,
You know, in the future,
absolutely, yeah.
get them in and interview them and
Yep.
get them on the side as well.
Yeah.
And try to drive some traffic and help them.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
fantastic,
Yeah.
you know?
So, we, as a matter of fact, we have a hunt coming up. It's a duck hunt up in Throckmorton, Texas, January 11th, and we're trying to bring a couple of our female sisters along on that one.
Super cool.
So,
So you take people fishing,
yes,
you take people hunting,
yes.
hog hunts, deer hunts, duck hunts.
Yes, we do a little bit of everything. And I'll kind of give you the rundown on how we do everything. When we first started, and to this day, we still have a database. You have to fill out an application. And what that application does, it tells us a little bit about you. You have to upload your DD-214, your CAC card, your active duty card. No, I don't know what they call it nowadays. It's been a while. And that's service verification. One of the big things on the DD-214 is we have to look at what type of discharge you had. If a guy comes in, let's say he comes back and he's doing some real demons, and he goes out to a bar and he gets into a fight and, you know, gets felony assault. That guy may need more help than the other guy. And doesn't mean that we can't help him. It means we help him in a different way. You know, he can't hunt, you know, using a rifle or a pistol like that, but we run a lot of different bow hunts, you know, bow fishing, things like that.
You're trying to keep everybody safe.
Trying to keep everybody safe,
You're trying to help
absolutely.
the veterans.
Exactly. So, and we do have very strict rules about that. Everything, every evening, all of our firearms, everything get locked up locally wherever we might be. And those are monitored by one of our staff.
Yeah.
So what we do is we post all of our events on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So that's where you'll learn more than anything about us, is on our Facebook page. And what we do is we do our events drawing style. And the reason that we do this is because for the first year, is when we would go through that database, and let's give you an example. For the first year, we say we got a vet hunt for 8 vets for dove hunt.
Okay.
We'd start at the top of that list, and we'd go down, and we might find 2 guys out of the first 10 that were available. But we can't move forward because we're waiting on the other 8 to call us back and say yes or no. So, and then we might have to go another 10 down deep. And it just became too time consuming, right? And some of those guys, they might not be interested in a dove hunt, you know. They might want, you know, something different. They might want to go fishing. So that's when we went the route of we post it on the page. And we also think it makes it more fair and gives everybody equal chance, because let's say that Jeff Aldridge comes in and signs up today. Your name goes at the bottom of that list of currently about 400 veterans or active duty that are signed up. Okay? That could mean you're waiting 2 or 3 years.
Versus a full lottery, you could get picked today just like anybody else could. That's huge.
Yes, it makes it evens the playing field considerably, right? So we post an event, we put all the information about it, you follow the directions. If it's something you're interested in, you just follow the directions, like I say, and you post. We usually have you type some type of a comment, you know, related to the hunt, and then we assign a number. We give a date for when that drawing will be held and a time. We do live videos of our drawings, so everybody sees. That's one of the big things for me. Going back to my dad, God rest his soul. I feel like, you know, my name attached to it is his name attached to it. So one of my big things is always being as transparent as possible. Another thing, you know, this is our 4th year in operation. This is our 3rd year as a GuideStar Gold Seal of Transparency recipient. GuideStar is the world's largest nonprofit vetting organization. So when we run these hunts, again, we run live videos for the drawings. And we usually also draw a couple of backups because, you know, inevitably
Just in case.
life happens, right? So, and that's how we select our veterans or active duty, and it could be a mix of both.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I
So
had no idea that's the way you did it.
Yes.
I get it, because if you have that many veterans that want to do something, and not everybody can do it, you know, but when they get picked, you know, you're certainly making it equal. Everybody's got an equal chance when you're doing a lottery like that. How many events a year are y'all up to? What are you going to try to do in 2020?
Well, so for us, I kind of look at it. I don't look at it in a fiscal year like that. I look at it in our fiscal year, because our fiscal year starts in May. Okay. And so right now, just since May alone, we have probably held, I would say, 25 different events. Hosting, you know, multiple veterans, some just day events, some multiple day events. So we continue to grow.
Weekend.
Yes, just about every weekend that we have something going on, whether, like I say, it's dove hunts, duck hunts, you know, hog hunts, deer hunts, whatever it may be. Like we did a lot of fishing events this year. We kind of really upped our fishing events this year. Especially with picking up Louisiana. We picked up Louisiana last year, and we have an outstanding crew out in Louisiana, northern Louisiana. That's one another thing, is that we really, being a nonprofit, being a disabled combat vet, I still work full time. Okay? And most all the other reps or volunteers do as well, because we're a 100% volunteer organization. We're always looking for more volunteers or reps, and you don't necessarily have to be a vet. We have a couple of people. Exactly.
You're helping people. You're helping take people hunting, teaching them maybe some hunting skill. Not everybody knows how to hunt.
Not everybody knows how to hunt. You know,
not everybody knows how to fish.
Right. And you're basically there to represent, number one, the organization. Number two, you're there to represent that veteran and make sure that they're taken care of. And if something arises, you know, you're there to make sure that they're taken care of, to reach out to myself or any of the board members if needed, if something arises that they need to be taken care of. That's one of the big things when I started this organization, is I always wanted to have representation for our veterans when they go out. The only 2 times that we did not have representation is when we had veterans reach out to us from Maine and one up in Ohio. And what we did is we reached out and we talked to local outfitters up that way, and we were able to get a veteran up in Maine on a hunt, and another veteran up in Ohio on a hunt, 2 different outfitters up there.
That's cool.
So that's the only 2 times we've never had representation.
Do you find in this, basically what you guys are doing, there's probably a bunch of people that love hunting and fishing and would love to hook up and help somebody, especially veterans organizations, do what they already love to do, you know?
Unfortunately, I haven't had, no. To answer your question, no.
more.
We need a lot more.
Wow.
And actually, currently, we are searching for a new COO.
Okay.
Preferably a veteran,
Okay.
retired potentially, somebody who has the time to take the calls and the emails that I'm having to take in between calls at work.
Right.
I don't expect somebody to step in and know exactly what to do right off the bat and how to handle each call or situation. But I definitely need somebody that has the time, but most importantly, the passion to want to help their brothers and sisters.
Gotcha.
We've got some really good reps. We kind of break things up too as far as our board. We have our North Texas program director, a South Texas program director, East and West.
Okay.
And then our East kind of covers Louisiana right now as well. And so those directors are also at the same time, they disseminate information down to the other reps, and those reps will go out and take, these hunts. And they're also at the same time trying to source hunts or fishing trips.
Okay.
So it's
Trying
kind
to
of
put deals together, basically.
it's a full-time, it's almost, I'm not gonna lie, it's almost another full-time job.
Yeah.
It is. And so that's where a COO, a new COO, I'm really striving to find somebody, number one, that has the time, but again, more importantly, that has the passion to want to do that. So,
Do you envision Cover 6 in the future going national at a level that could, because hunting and fishing is very different in every state, we have, Texas is a great place to be in when it comes to hunting and fishing.
Oh, absolutely.
We have big seasons and we have a lot of animals and a lot of great fishing. I mean, we're lucky. If you're an outdoor sportsman here, you got a lot to choose from,
absolutely.
right? So it's a great place to have
Right.
a 501c3 like doing what you guys are doing, because we don't have a lot of the shorter seasons or extra rules that a lot of the other states have, because they just probably don't have the game or the environment that we have.
Exactly. As far as a national level, right now, I'd have to say I don't want to be at a national level. I want to keep this kind of grassroots.
Okay.
Locally, yes. Now, that's not to say that we can't branch out and contact an outfitter, in Missouri, go north for some bigger deer, and do some things like that. But as far as having chapters nationally, at this point right now, we're not ready for that. We're just not.
Hey, that's honest and fair.
It is,
because,
yeah.
You may have somebody from Maine, say, hey, I want to start a CV6 outfit up here,
Right.
and you've got to know, hey, we want to do it or we don't want to do it. Hey, here's what we're doing. Why don't you call yours a different name, or okay, yes, let's go. But you got to have support. You got to have enough people to operate.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is having the people who have the time. And the reason I say that not right now we're not ready is we've tried this once before up in Illinois. We had a Marine vet, and it's nothing shortcoming to him, but he has a family, he has a job.
Yeah, you only have so much time.
You only have so much time, and so it just didn't go, and it no fault of anyone.
Yeah.
So we have our people in place here in Texas.
Right.
We have our people in place in Louisiana.
Right.
We're doing really well. I want to grow on that.
Yeah.
And then, maybe in the future we can look at branching out a little bit more.
Well, if you've already done, in 6 months, call it half the year, you're already at 25 hunting and fishing events. Mm-hmm. There are organizations that can, that only can do, 3, 4, 5 events.
Right.
Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, the events and the organizations. But to get 5 guys on a hunt, to get 3 people, 3 veterans in a boat fishing. There's still just so much logistics to put that together, and he's got a job, he's got a family, it's full time, so right now, you really need some help with Cover 6 and what you guys are trying to accomplish. Some true support as far as veterans or non-veterans that enjoy doing this, but also want to go help veterans get out of the house.
Exactly. That's why we do what we do.
Right. And you're helping the veteran afterwards seek some of the other help that they need, because there are a lot of services that you guys can partner with, that you already partner with, and you're helping them go in the direction.
Once they break that barrier, then they might not have a problem going and sitting down with a group if that's what they need.
Right.
That they go, okay, you know, these guys they're kind of macho. They go out there and hunt, and they're not afraid to open up, right? So at the end of the day, the fishing and hunting, you know, that's just a platform to get people moving. I mean, ultimately, get them outdoors and, you know, like I said, put away the phones, get away from the city, get away from the cars, get away from the traffic, and just relax. Yeah. Get around a group of like-minded brothers and sisters, and magic can happen.
It's cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you coming.
We appreciate the time.
Appreciate you what you do. Appreciate your service. You know, man, I appreciate you coming.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.